a lot of people have been made aware of season 16 coming out. Um, it even reached my neck of the woods. And I know a lot of people were kind of mixed on, the new cast of this season that was casted because it seems to be a very nuclear reboot of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I looked at it as possibly a chance to really get into the recaps, uh, and, see how things go. It's a new era for the Cake Dive, new era for, Cake Radio Show, new era for the Real Housewives. So let's dig into it. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Cake Radio Show. I'm the Cake Dive, and I know I'm late. Don't do too much on me, but we are going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 today. So for those who are aware, because if you're watching this video, you probably are aware of this, the Real Housewives has started rolling out season 16 of the show. Bravo has been pushing the show heavily. They've been getting clips out, they've been getting ads out, they've really been pushing this season because they really want this season to work. And it makes sense because this season is kind of the reboot season for Real Housewives. A lot of the old cast like Candy and Miss She by Sheree herself, have left or have been booted off the show. And while some of the original cast members of Real Housewives have stayed on, Phaedra is coming back this season. Portia is staying on and is kind of like the lead chair of the season. Drew Sidora is back. Cynthia Bailey is the friend of the Housewives. And Kenya Moore does make an appearance in the show, which we'll talk about later. But outside of that group of ladies, the rest of the cast this season is brand new. You have Britt Eady, Kelly Farrell, Shamia Morton, Angela Oakley, and they are really going for it in this season. Now, this episode is recapping episode 1. For the longest time, I wanted to do a recap show of something. And for me, I chose The Real Housewives of Atlanta because of, my history with the show. While I never, watched the show like growing up or anything like that, I'm one of those like Gen Z people who like was aware of the show because it dominated meme culture. You saw clips on like social media and you saw clips on YouTube of the show and stuff like that. And you might watch an episode or two every now and then, but I never caught up with the show up to this point. But the show made a lot of ground for me as a creator because when I used to do like edit content focusing on pop culture, a lot of my reaction videos and stuff like that, I used clips and, memes that were from Real Housewives of Atlanta, whether it was Nene Leakes, whether it was Sheree, whether it was Kenya, like any of the girls. A lot of my clips were used from the show. So I have a lot of like interesting connection to the show from that sense. And while I never really watched like the show consistently, I did watch a lot of the girls' recaps, tuning into the show. And for me, I was like, that was enough. I watched the King of Reeds recaps. I watched As Told by Kenya's reactions of the show. I would watch like Carlos King's like episodes talking with the housewives and stuff like that. Only person I wasn't really watching recaps or talks with was Andy Cohen because I could tell his spirit is a little bit shady. But we'll talk about that when the hurdle comes. But enough about all that. Let's talk about this new season. So I took some notes because I wanted to make sure that like I didn't know when I was going to be recording the episode. I watched the episode. The episode dropped last Sunday. I watched the episode the day after on Monday. and I was taking notes. I didn't know if I was going to go ahead and record the episode then, but scheduling it conflicts and stuff aside, I'll try to be a little bit more timely when it comes to these recaps. Okay, now the let me pull up my notes, y'all. Ugh, oh Lord, I'm becoming unprepared, y'all. Now, episode 1 opens up with Portia, and Portia's talking about, how her life has been. She's talking about the divorce. She is, reflecting on how she feels about that in the moment, how that's, brought her pain, how that's brought her love through her child. And the way that she used that as the intro and how the show opens up with that was very well done. I feel like it was showing a new era for the show, and it was also showing a new era for her. Now, whether the new era is good or not for Portia, yes, but for the show, we'll talk about that. We then kind of are introduced to a lot of the girls. We're introduced to Shamia, and Shamia is, out of like all of the new cast members of the show, Shamia Morton is like so far my favorite. Now, I've seen some people online be a little bit mixed around Shamia and be like, oh, she can't really lead the show. And like some people also feel as if like, oh, she's like flaunting her wealth. I feel like a lot of people forget that this whole show is about flaunting wealth, or at least pretending to flaunt wealth, because what made the show very interesting up until this point, and again, you could put an asterisk on me if you don't agree with this, because again, I haven't watched all 16 seasons. I'm not a real housewifer, unfortunately. A lot of the girls were either wealthy themselves, they were wealthy through their husbands, or they weren't really or they pretended to be wealthy. And you saw some of that kind of crumble towards like season 15 when I was, seeing some of the episodes and seeing some of the recaps and stuff like that. Leaving Sheree, one of the biggest, longest bits for Sheree when she was on the show was, one, she by Sheree, and two, Neverland. Neverland, because nothing was there. And how it took so long for her mansion to be built, and a lot of the drama and stuff that occurred with that being constructed. And Atlanta has also been known as a place where people are either wealthy legitimately, or they pretend to be wealthy and they masquerade, because that's kind of the vibes here. And while I do kind of agree with some of the sentiments of like, oh, like people feel a bit iffy about watching a show where people are flaunting wealth, because I felt that with certain scenes in this episode, like they were really, some of the girls were really pushing, wealth and, oh, I got money and stuff like that. Like Kelly was doing the birthday party where, she was giving her daughter like 17 bags from the runway, their Balmain bags, all the like the whole 9 yards during Shamia's birthday party. She gets like a whole Rolls Royce. Like we'll get into that later. But the obviously seeing all that during what is very clearly a recession, and the girls are cutting costs. More people are homeless more than ever. Beyonce tickets not selling because we ain't got it. Like the girls ain't got no money, but these girls got money, it seems. And that's just kind of how I feel about it. Like I kind of have to have the cognitive dissonance, because I'm like, at the end of the day, like this is reality TV. Like obviously wealth is an issue. We just going to address these things as it comes. But back to this recap, right? So we're introduced to Shamia. We kind of get a look into Shamia's life, and Shamia's like talking and stuff like that. She's talking about how she fell in love. She's talking about, her family and stuff like that. And I just feel like the vibes are there. Like I feel like she is able to out of like all of the new girls that we've seen this episode, she is one of the strongest. Not even one of. She is the strongest of the new girls in my honest opinion. Um, Obviously because like this episode focuses on her. Her and Portia kind of lead the episode in this pilot, this opening sequence for the series. And they both kind of take it. Like I think the dynamic that they both have when they lead the screen is very housewives, very much like what we want to see in terms of, you know, showing wealth, showing personality, being interesting, working the camera, working with, you know, the different people in the show. Like they were taking it. The only other person in this episode who was taking it like that was Cynthia. And we'll dig into that. Then after that, it cuts to Drew. We're seeing Drew. They don't really, like, they kind of talk about how Drew is you know, entering her music era. Like she's kind of taking it with music, and she's been working with Dennis, who obviously has ties to Portia and was in a relationship with Portia. And they even like reveal that Portia dropped a single, Flatline. I didn't even know that Portia was doing music or tried to do music. I was like, whoa, what was this? I had to do a little deep dive on that. And then one of the season's burning questions pops up. It seems like this is going to be something that will be a plot line for the season. Drew is asked like, oh, like, is there, how does Portia feel about this? Does Portia know that y'all are working together like this? Do you got something going on with this man? And that is, they're like, no, but this is gonna be a thing throughout the season, we can tell. We then move on to Kelly. Kelly to me feels like the beginning of like the split off of the show, in which you have like the old cast. I forgot to mention, with Portia. Obviously, I forgot to mention with Portia, not Portia, with Drew Sidora. Drew is having this conversation with the one and only Kenya Moore. Now, for those who have been paying attention to the show, you guys know that Kenya was filming and was going to be a consistent part of season 16, but was suspended and then dropped from the season because of her drama with Brett and how she was sharing revenge with of Brett at one of her like events. And Kenya has consistently said that like she didn't share pictures like that, and says that she's still under contract with Bravo. But there are, you know, there's leaked footage or like leaked audio of her that kind of makes her a little bit guilty of this. And two, later in the episode, we see a conversation between her and Brett, and you can tell that they established, like, Kenya has a very clear issue with Brett, and is not giving her the time of the day. And you're like, so there might be some truth in this. I can see there being truth in this. Obviously, it's just rumors, and we obviously don't have too much that's concrete. But if you had to ask me if you believe the rumors or not, I feel like Kenya did that. I think Kenya did that shit, and she just need to own up to it and move on. Circling back to Kelly, because I know I'm all over the place. This is what you get when it's the first recap. We'll be more smoother next time, guys. Sorry. Kelly is introduced. You can tell that she is kind of like the first of like the split from the show's old money feel. It's like this new money vibe. The other cast members feel like very like it feels old money in the sense that like a lot of the people are, when they feel rich, like it is like rich. It is very much like big houses, you know, expensive cars. Their vibe gives wealthy, and it's kind of like it's like I'm wealthy and I know I'm wealthy. I'm not necessarily flaunting it inherently. This is just me type vibes. Whereas with Kelly, she feel like she is kind of like the modern, like, oh, I'm that girl, I've been that girl, this my money, let me show you how this is my money type vibes. And honestly, I don't really have an issue with it. Like was the girl was kind of cute. Like I was feeling the girl. Like she feels to me a little bit almost like this season's like Candy, in which um and one of the reasons I'm saying that, is because of the restaurants things. Like Kelly has the chicken and waffles restaurants that are named after her grandmother. Candy had restaurants as well, but instead of the controversies that Candy had went with the scheme that Tara set up and biscuits or bullets. Instead of biscuits and bullets, it's waffles or mimosas, and it's just like really. It's not inherently refreshing because it's like you kind of seen this before, but it's nice to see how like she handles the angle and stuff like that. Kelly does use the moment in her introduction to talk about her divorce and how there could have been some DV or some like very rough, toxic stuff that happened in that relationship. But she also uses it to be like, this is a new era for me. I'm just here. I'm here to celebrate my kid. You make sure my kid has the world. And she handled it with a lot of grace. I really liked it. It was a nice first impression that does not that gets she drops the ball completely the rest of the episode. We'll dig into that. Um, Again, it's the birthday party for her daughter. Her daughter turned 17. She's giving her like 17 purses and bags, and they're all from the runway. Again, if you're not feeling the wealth thing, like this is kind of this was the moment for me in which I was like, ooh, okay. Like I can't get one bombing bag. But after that, Portia is, talking with she they cut to her talking about the divorce, her going with the divorce lawyer and setting things that happen. First of all, Portia's a comic act because the way she like purposely got stuck in that elevator, I'm screaming. Like she was just hilarious. Like you could tell that you could see why Bravo kept Portia for the show, because she is Real Housewives, whether people like her or not. You can't get Nene back. Nor would I think Nene would want to do a Real Housewives show going forward. But Portia is kind of the best that you got in the remaining lineup of the show. Like she is giving you. Should we get back to face? She's giving you, she's giving you face. She's giving you personality. She's giving you the tea. She's giving you everything that the girls want from the show, realistically. And she was, giving you she's giving the divorce lawyer and obviously the cameras the breakdown on like the divorce and how she's felt about it and what led to it. Odd thing for me is for some reason this episode they kept quoting like the Jasmine brand, which was something. I don't know why we was doing that. I was no one else reporting news that was like not a blogger, a blogger, a journalist, same shit. But that was something. It was a nice moment just to kind of keep building what the show is kind of establishing this season, in which it's like the plot line for Portia is going to be the divorce and how she navigates through it. She will overcome. Then we cut to Shamia meeting with the new girls. The vibe of the new girls talking and stuff like that. It wasn't really giving Real Housewives to me. It was kind of giving more like Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop type vibes, in which it's like instead of the girls having, it feels like the girls were not like the girls were having fun, but it also was kind of like they were there for mess. Like it was a producer that set up this moment. I feel like we should have seen them when they meet up go do like an event first, like a small little event or engagement. Obviously they weren't going to be able to do that because the event that this episode was focusing on was Shamia's birthday party. But having them go out and do something that was a little bit more engaging than them just kind of sitting there and talking about the mess, I feel like would have been a better way for us to like see the girls' personalities and vibes and all that type of stuff. Um, they're talking about, you know, the party. Shamia's excited about the party. Obviously because this is like the first birthday party that she's been able to do in a minute. They're talking about who's going to be there. You know, Kenya's going to be there, Cynthia's going to be there, Portia's going to be there, and Kelly is trying to. I feel like she's trying to be the Real Housewives villain. Like I think she is trying to. In this moment, she begins trying to like build herself as the girl who wants to like earn that peach. Like she wants to be the girl that has the moment with one of the old girls. And I feel like there is two people in the show that are gonna become like the issues of the season very obviously, and it's gonna be Kelly and it's gonna be Kenya. Obviously Kenya is only gonna be here for like half the season, give or take at most, because of the fact that she got cut, because she was cutting up. But I think, and obviously we're only on episode 1. We'll see how episode 2 and the next couple of episodes go. But it seems as if Kelly is not going to be a fave of the audience because of how she'll approach people. Like once she talked about like the situation with like Simon and Portia, she was really honing in on the fact that like, oh, like did Portia steal that girl's man and all that type of stuff? And it's like, one, the timeline wasn't like, it's close but it's not that far off. Like I get that, you know, girl code is kind of weird that, you know, she ended up dating him after he split up with that one girl. And there's literally like she met the girl at their place at one point and it's on camera and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like it's not giving like it's not giving real tea. Like it's giving something that like you would argue about for an episode or maybe even a moment and you like laugh it off. And like later on in the season, possibly during the reunion, you use it as like a dig. But for some reason, this really like Kelly is like really irked by this, and she's like really going for it. Later in the episode, she is literally just like, "Oh, like I'm the girl that likes to stand on business and stuff like this. Girl, this is not your business." But like, I get it. The show's supposed to be messy. You're supposed to have the tea. Well, I'll let her have it and see how it goes. Then she like tried clapping back at Portia, and she was trying to call herself the queen of waffles. Girl, no shade. I ain't never. I mean, I'm not in Atlanta too much. I'm not trying to shade you too much or your establishment, but I ain't heard about the cookbook before. I ain't heard about the waffle place before. It's not like you're not giving candy, girl. Like you're not giving candy in this moment. Like it's not like you famous enough for this to really be the thing. Maybe I'm wrong saying this, but I ain't never heard of you. So like I get feeling yourself, but maybe with the clapback, you feeling yourself a little too much. Let's dial it back. Um, then we move on to Shamia's birthday party. They talk about the clip that kind of has been roaming around the internet, and with Shamia. Shamia is wealthy. Like when you talking about a rich girl, that is a rich girl right there. And she reveals why she's wealthy and stuff like that. Her husband works in HVAC. Period. We love it, HVAC queen. And that's how like the HVAC money is something serious. And I'm looking here like that's what HVAC money is. HVAC man applications, please be cute. But no. They're at the party. Shamia got this woman like spin on this little pole. It's given spin by Megan Thee Stallion and Victoria Monet tees, period. And everybody's starting to come through. You have new girls come through. You have Cynthia arrive. First of all, let me dig into Cynthia. Cynthia, I'm very excited to see Cynthia back on the show. And I think next season, if there is a next season, I'm assuming there's going to be a next season, she should be like, she should get a peach, no shade. Like, I think, maybe, I don't know if the girls will agree with me, but I think she's trying to work her way to earning a peach, because the way she was moving in this episode, very precise. Like, she is moving around. She's introducing herself with the girl. She's working her way around the room. She's getting tea. She's playing bone collector. Like, she is doing the interactions. Like, she has earned the seat as the friend of the housewives, but her personality and vibes, even in her confessionals and stuff like that, are very funny. And I feel like she should. I like, unless her personal life just isn't that interesting. Housewives fans, if y'all know Cynthia like that, let me know. But the vibe she's giving this season, I wouldn't mind seeing the girl get a peach. Y'all, let me know if y'all agree. If y'all think she should get a peach. But we're introduced to a lot of the girls. Like, Angela kind of comes in. We start seeing her and her dynamic with Charles. They seem okay. I don't really have, like, they're kind of mid in the sense that, like, well, both of them are pretty, both of them are hot. Two, but like, they haven't really brought anything that's like too interesting to the table just yet. Like, I don't necessarily like their dynamic just because, like, there isn't too much that's there for me to, like, hook my teeth in. But I'll give them a little bit of grace because this is the first episode. Um, Kaylee and all them coming in, stuff like that. We see how things go. And then Kenya shows up. Kenya, looking good and all that type of stuff. She's doing the usual Real Housewives, Kenya vibes that she's been doing. She comes in, she introduces herself, she says hi. She says hi to everybody but Brett, or like shakes hands with everybody but Brett. So you could already tell that she's shady. You could already tell there's an issue there, and it's not a good look considering the controversy that she's in. And thinking about how they kept her in for like the season and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm curious. Like, the cut of Kenya that we have is being very gracious, because I feel like with the controversy that's going on, Bravo could have completely cut her from the show, or could like minimize the parts that she's in the show completely to like a scene or two an episode. Well, they kind of did that, but like, so far. But she is in here kind of like if she was a regular housewife. The only thing that I feel that was probably cut from this episode was if they had her, do a scene reintroducing herself, a new plotline or something that was established. We don't see that. But we are seeing her fairly frequently in this episode, and I'm like, she's like, she was gonna be in the seat. And she really ruined that. I hate that for sister, but you shouldn't have done all that. No shade, allegedly. Um, Girls already kind of clocked that she's being weird to Britt. Britt also immediately clapped it because she's like, okay. The ring thing was weird. The not like approaching her with respect stuff was weird. Brett even like clocks her and she's like, oh, like you shook everybody else's hands but not mine. And she's like, oh, like, did I? Like, Kenya was playing games. She knew what she was on. But Kenya's always been like that. She just needed to own it. But clearly she doesn't. This is going to be a thing that happens throughout the first half of the season when she's here. That reunion is going to be interesting when they address that, because they probably will be talking about that on the reunion. Shamia, her birthday party is cute. It is giving Atlanta down. It is like they got a little shot o'clock moment, which everybody's taking shots. Oh, Lord. Like, the way that Baddies in Atlanta, it's taking the pop culture like this. Shamia's gifts are cute. She got a $430,000 Rolls Royce Canillion. Is that how you say it? Canillion? But up until this point, the party's going off with the hitch, but one person's missing. Portia's not there. Portia doesn't show up until the Rolls Royce, sound it out. The Rolls Royce Canillion arrives. And instead of like moving into the crowd and like acting like she was there, there's like a joke that occurs in which one of the housewives is like, you, instead of ruining the moment, you should have just, joined in the crowd and act like you was there the whole time. That's what I would have did if I was late. She instead walks up during the grand reveal of this Rolls Royce and it's like, like, she makes it kind of about her, which is crazy because this is Shamia's birthday party. That's not your birthday party. Like, this is the equivalent of ordering fajitas at the birthday dinner. Like, what is you doing, Portia? Portia does try to clean it up a little bit. Like, she walks in privately with Shamia and is like, I'm sorry it was late. There was a lot of traffic. Like, I'm so sorry. You know, I wanted to be here on time. And, you know, Shamia was like, it's all right. I mean, like, you can tell it wasn't all right, but she was just like, it happened. Let's just move on. Very adult things, period. Cleaned it up real cute. And you could tell that their dynamic is really cute so far. Hopefully they don't split up or nothing like that, because I think Shamia, again, I feel like Shamia and Portia are the most interesting pair in this season. Um, Kelly, you know, the girls all sit down. They're trying to get the tea on Kelly, even though Shamia said, "Don't talk about this at the party." The girls are asking, like Cynthia, it's Cynthia or Kenya was playing Bone Collector and was like, "I heard that you feel that Portia took Simon," and then Portia comes in and Kelly like questions Portia about it, and Portia's like, "I'm not going to answer the question because I don't even know you." Because again, Kelly comes right at her asking this question, no introduction, stuff like that. And then Kelly is just like, "Oh, I stand on business. This, like, you should just answer the question and let it move on," and stuff like that. I feel like the producers are influencing her to big up like this, but I don't feel like she's giving in this moment. Um, and again, this isn't her business, but this seems to be something that is going to establish her to try to be the villain of the season. And I just don't think it's cute look on Sister. And then episode is teasing yet again the question about Drew and, you know, that one man that Portia was with and stuff like that. And episode ends, because to be continued, because they want us to keep watching the rest of the season, and we get the tease for the rest of the season. You know, okay. How I felt about the season, this episode. Name, I'm being messy. This episode, we gonna clean this up next by episode 2. Trust. First recap, I'm nervous, but no. I feel like overall it wasn't a bad episode. I feel like the girls have already had like an uphill battle because one, it's the Real Housewives, it is reality TV. It's a reality TV like Hallmark. If you don't love that type of stuff, you're automatically gonna hate it. And then since it's a rebooted season, I feel like this is what happens with any reality TV show, especially a Bravo show, especially a Real Housewives show that does a reboot. The fans are so passionate or nostalgic about the older cast that they are not going to give the new cast a chance. It's going to be an uphill battle. And I, again, as someone who, while I like some of the old cast, has tuned into the recaps and was kind of like, okay, some of these girls they wasn't given what needs to be gave in the later seasons of their shows. I want to give the new girls the benefit of the doubt, see if they are interesting enough to keep, because this is the experiment. This is the experiment to see if Bravo can revive Real Housewives of Atlanta, and just see how things go. Storyline wise, it's kind of mixed. I feel like the only girls that are interesting so far that I feel are interesting are Portia, Cynthia, and then Shamia as one of the new girls. I feel like the other new girls either aren't interesting or are someone like Kelly who is trying too hard to try to be interesting and give it off when she really doesn't have to be doing all that. Looking forward to seeing where like the rest of Kenya's plotline goes, because that's not gonna is given it's not gonna end well the way she's already moving in episode 1. But I'm gonna give the girls the benefit of the doubt. I didn't like the fact that they was like teasing a lot of stuff, like they wasn't trying to like give closure. Like I feel like this could have been a longer episode to address, but I get that they're trying to keep the girls watching, you know, throughout the season and stuff like that. But that's kind of what my thoughts are. Let me know what you guys think. This is my first recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, episode 1. I know this was a little bit messy and a little bit late. Please give me some grace, because I was real nervous about doing a recap like this. I never did this before. With each episode, I'll try to do better and clean up, because this is a little bit messy. But I would love to hear your thoughts on what you liked about this episode, what you didn't like about this episode. Do you like the new girls? If so, who was your faves? How do you feel about how Kelly's moving in the season so far? How do you feel about the Kenya drama? Like, how do you feel about that? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube where you get these episodes before anybody else. And be sure to tune into my recent pilot, Talk. It's out now on the Cake Radio YouTube channel. And be sure to tune into Icons I.O. Debris, which is coming out this month. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.